What? Sing?
No, I would just say, welcome.
Welcome back to the Backstairs Podcast. I'm Janelle.
I'm Aaron.
I'm John. But wait, Janelle, why are you here?
Well, Scott is not.
Oh.
Scott is at the Ice Capades. Or the Ice Caves, as we have decided.
Sometimes there's ice capades in the ice caves.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
He'll have to let us know next week how that went.
I distinctly remember the conversation with him going, "You'll have to go on without me." And then, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're fortunate to have you to help us out and jump in.
Yeah. Happy to fill in. But there's someone else here with us as well.
We refer to our number one fan and, you know, best fan and all that stuff.
You want to try that again?
No, I don't, because that's what I meant to do. Because the person we have with us is indescribable.
She is.
She's beautiful.
And she's talented.
And
but Aaron,
she's
beautifully talented.
Yes.
She's been here before. You know her. You love her. Kristen Searles Brackett.
And this is where I put the applause button. And
Thank you. Thank you
I
very much.
accidentally hit the ba-dump.
Aaron.
Kristen, it is good to have you back.
I am so excited to be back.
People like yourself are probably wondering, but she's already been on the show a couple times. Why is she here?
Yes, I did ask myself that a couple of times.
That's fair. Why? Just why?
I figured you guys have gotten enough of me over the past few months.
Never.
No, definitely not.
We've been talking to people. We've been talking to a bunch of people, right? We're starting our season strong and hot and Ice Capades and
I know.
and they have a lot to talk about. But you have been a reoccurring topic that people have been chatting about. Any idea why?
All bad things.
Was it?
No.
You'll have to
So
listen.
many things I can think of.
No, but coming off of your second directorial, attempt, or I don't know what it would be, but success.
How about success?
Your second
Success.
directorial success.
Maybe third time will be a charm.
25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, but yeah, that was quite the show.
Yes. Super, super fun. Oh, sorry. I stepped away.
No.
Oh God. Yeah. It was even more fun, dare I say, than the show that cannot be named.
We switched it.
Yeah, so now
Yeah.
Spelling Bee is a show.
This is now the show we can't name.
Yeah. You can say spam a lot again.
Sorry, at the time of this recording, we haven't released any episodes yet. So she doesn't know.
Oh, right.
that
I don't know that
we
yet.
have running jokes already.
Yeah, all the jokes you don't know, but yeah. You're welcome.
So
Thanks a lot, guys.
I know. We feel really bad. Or I feel really bad. I don't know. They probably don't.
No, I can see it in their faces. They don't really feel bad.
No, we decided that since we recorded the first season right after Spam-A-Lot, and we talked about Spam-A-Lot pretty much all season long.
Right.
That we're probably going to be talking about Spelling Bee all season.
And so far, that has been the case.
Well, to be fair, we've only had Spelling Bee people on as guests. So it's something we have in common
Right.
now.
I'd like to think we could put a little bit of a pin in it tonight. Not like never go back to it, but I really feel that you had a lot going on
Yeah.
during the show.
I did.
And in some ways, was that overwhelming? I mean, to me, honestly, you were killing it, but you had a lot of irons in the fire.
It was overwhelming until I made the decision that there were certain things I had to let go of once, because then there was a point where I had not yet become Rona. And and there was this moment in the middle of the night and I was like, dude, you are not going to be able to do this if you do not shut everything else down and become that character. And even though I knew what I wanted to do, I hadn't developed any relationships with any of the other characters on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I needed to stop the director piece and become an actor.
Mm.
And the minute I did that, it was a lot easier actually to direct.
Mm.
Excuse me. Because I was in there. I was on the stage. I was no longer my face in the script or in anything that I had written out. I was feeling and living in the moment. And because of that, I changed things.
Yeah.
And they became better, I think, you know, because what I saw, what I saw in my head didn't feel right when we put them in place. And that was because I was part of it.
Yeah.
So it was a unique experience, not something that I would recommend all the time for anybody. But I wouldn't change it for anything.
That's
I really
awesome.
wouldn't.
To get some context, you started directing the show, and then the actress that was playing Rona had to step away for health reasons, and you stepped into that role. And oh my gosh, I mean, it was great. It was, I wish things had been, you know, gone otherwise for you, but I don't know. I still think you stepped up to the plate and you killed it.
Yeah, it was fun. And it's a part I have always wanted to play. And it was something that when I pitched the show, I knew I wouldn't be able to play. As a director, you don't ever envision yourself in the cast.
Right.
And you shouldn't, you know, and I know, and I think last season I talked about, I have worked with a director that put himself in a cast, and it was awful. And so maybe that was helpful in this situation because I knew what I didn't want to happen to everybody else. And so, yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful to be Rona. I again, wouldn't change it for anything. And I think the show was a completely different show than it was in the very beginning, the way it was cast.
Yeah.
And it would have been good the other way. But I think it really turned out to be a great show.
Yeah. Everybody brings something unique
Yes.
to each character.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I struggle with improv, even though I love improv. I get in my head too much. I won't let myself do some of the things that you really should do in improv. And I've been really trying and working towards that. But for Lori, it's just like second nature. It's just something she does and she can just do. And I just am in awe sometimes when I see her do it. And even Scott. And I'm like, God, I wish I could do that. You know, I just think too much. I just can't let it come out. And maybe that's because, you know, I think there's an HR person standing behind me all the time. And I forget in theater, there's no HR, right?
you were HR.
Sometimes.
So, yeah.
John was our HR.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here.
You were the Toby to Kristen's Michael Scott.
And then on top of that, I mean, the second show, we have your wonderful husband, Matt, who's kind of become like a theater lover out of the blue.
What is that all about?
He's like a theater geek now.
Yeah, that if I'd known that, I don't know if we'd gotten married. I mean, I'm just kidding.
Did he come to every show?
Every single show. And he made a t-shirt at the end, Pants for President. But he never sat in the same spot, you know, twice. He came home, he's reciting the music. He's reciting the words, like different things. And I'll say something and he's like, oh, aren't you all business? You know, stuff like that. And, oh gosh, well, it's just ridiculous.
It was hilarious at the cast party. You know, we have a rotating, a song playlist going of songs from musicals. And every song that pops up, hey, John, what show is this from? What was that show about? And it was like, who are you? What happened to you? No, but it's pretty awesome.
It is fun. And he and my granddaughter still sing. We had game night the other night when we didn't have any power. And we were playing this game. I don't even remember what the name is, something unicorns. And there's this, you can turn your unicorns into pandas, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you know what happens, right?
Panda.
Everybody. the whole family starts into the pandemonium. And I was like, oh my God, it's just hilarious. It was just really good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know it's fun when that sticks.
She was the show's biggest fan too.
Do you know what she got for Christmas?
What did she get?
She got Olive Ostrovsky pink overalls
Aww.
and a big white bow like Marcy.
That's so
Park.
cute. Was she like jazzed beyond belief?
Gosh. Yeah. So jazzed.
I feel like I want to give her my cape now.
Oh my God. No. And she got one of the sharks. They found one of the sharks and Santa brought that in her stocking.
That is so
that was
cool.
really fun.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
Wow.
She loves that show. And she had pictures taken with everybody. So they did like a really nice memory board for her for Christmas. So, yeah.
So we've had Zach Balcom.
Oh, good.
In for a little chat. And last week we had Rachel.
Oh.
And both of them had talked about, they were reflecting, as we're kind of doing right now, about how you help them come into their character during the show in particular. And just talking about that experience of like you being you helping them kind of become, that give that added touch to it. What the heck? Who was it?
Oh my gosh.
Is it Thursday night football?
We've been doing this for how long?
Should we have given the pre-show?
Like,
John's iPad was pinging last week.
I'm sitting here going, it's not me. My phone's muted. And the whole time my iPad's sitting right here. Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I just thought it was really interesting that, I can reflect back on Spamalot, and you are great at, we're going into a show, especially with Spamalot. Everyone kind of knows the characters a little bit from knowing Monty Python, but going into Spelling Bee was a whole different ballgame. No one really knew what their character was going to be or how they were going to respond, maybe except for Janelle, after knowing that character for so long. But even Janelle was talking about how she was able to develop her character as the show went on. How were you able to do that with like 2 weeks? I mean, you weren't Rona for very long.
No, but I do think that I am Rona in some ways.
I'm still not convinced that it's not you on the Broadway cast recording, because you sound exactly like her.
Oh, thanks.
It's insane. Am I wrong? But
You're not wrong.
No, I just, it's a part I've always wanted to play. I love playing those parts and I love being, so sweet and condescending. It's just, that's some of the, I remember I played Marion Ames in, Swing Time Canteen, and she was just like that. And that was one of the things that Linda worked on with me. She's like, I need you to be very sweet, but very condescending at the same time, And so those things are it's fun to play and be able to be that way to people when you can't really in real life, right? But yeah, I had so much fun with both Zach and Rachel too. I'm not ever working with Zach, not knowing who he was or what he's done or any of that stuff. And then Rachel, knowing her outside of the show, and then her coming to me that night and saying, if you really want I would really like to audition. And I was floored, absolutely floored. I was like, are you sure? Because I was just using her as a placeholder for auditions. And she's like, no, I think this is where I need to be. And she never disappointed, if you gave her direction, she'd just do it. And then there were times when she said, I just don't know what you mean. And we would, we'd parking lot it is what I call. And then I was like, let's put it in the parking lot and then we'll spend some time together and figure that out. And, so she's really open to those things. And that was really fun to be able to work with someone who's not ever been on stage before in that way.
Yeah. I know me and you had that for Spam a lot where I was just like, I don't know anything that you're saying and I don't understand it. Could you help me? And you were just like, so like patient and kind. So I imagine that she got the same thing.
Well, I think you approach it kind of from an actor's perspective because that's what you've primarily done.
Yeah.
And so you can see someone like Aaron or someone like Rachel, who it's their first show, and what a great mentor to have also as your director, you know, someone who knows what it's like to be on the other side and can kind of pull you aside and knows what actors need.
Yeah.
So,
and it's nice when actors say, I don't know what you mean by that. And you think it's really hard for people who have done things I have not done it professionally, but it's hard for people who have done things for so long that what they think they're saying to people is easily translated, and it's not. You know, you get that with musicians all the time. Like, do not talk about diminished whatevers with me, because it's all a bunch of gobbledygook on the page, right? So it's really figuring out who your audience is and being able to work with them and figure that out. And then you can see the panic in their eyes when you say something. You're like, no, didn't say that the way it probably should have come across, you know? And then you kind of backtrack and go back and say, you know, that's not really what. It's just like when you see me, when I was running up and down the stage half the time in Spamalot, not so much in Spelling Bee, but in Spamalot, because I'm like, let me show you. Let me show you what I want. I'm not great at it, but I'm going to show you what I'm thinking, and then I want you to put your spin on it from there.
Yeah.
So
it was great.
Thanks. It was fun. I miss it.
Yeah.
Me too.
I miss the improv piece. I miss every night there was something different that happened.
there was.
And that was the piece that, you know, I think in Spamalot, you never wanted anything unexpected to happen, right? Because that was mapped out the way it had to happen. And then in Spelling Bee, you had to have that stuff happen. If you didn't, there was no comedy. There was nothing, you know, it didn't move itself. And I think that's the piece of Broadway and shows that people don't understand. Every show is different, and every show moves in a different way because of the way it's written, and it's written for a reason that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. You know, we went from one it was a hard show. Spamalot was very hard. I think Spelling Bee was equally as hard, even though people that have seen it wouldn't necessarily say that, but we had if you were to look at those scripts, there was a lot of ad lib and all these things. Make sure this keeps working. Make sure that somebody spells cow right,
and then they don't. and what do you do?
Right. So there was a lot of that in the looking at each other like, okay, we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, or, oh my God, that just happened. And then somebody else like, okay, that happened. Let's go do this now, you know? So there was a lot of that going on, which is pretty cool.
That was like an interesting moment. Where that person spelled cow, DOG.
Opening night.
Opening night.
Which, like, we weren't even in a real groove yet. We hadn't had a real audience yet. And so for that to happen.
But the cool part I thought about was like, we're all like on these bleachers, and I'm looking at Josh and you and Scott, and I was like, how are we gonna?
I just literally took my head and looked at Scott like, how the hell are you getting us out of this one now? You know, it was like, and he's just like, yep. It was just really funny.
And then like as I'm like wondering this, Janelle starts like leading us into. You
could see the wheels turning.
This song, like you're like, because they're supposed to spell cow, and then we start singing as soon as they do it.
Well, my thought process was, we react to, oh, they got cow, they spelled it right. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. And so my thought process was, okay, they misspelled cow. How stupid is that? And it's the same kind of energy and reaction, just like kind of directed in a different space, you know, and that's what you have
live theater.
That's live theater. That's not the scariest improv moment that I've had to do.
Well, and coming from someone sitting in the light room watching that audience had no idea that they knew that obviously she spelled cow wrong.
They thought that we coached her to spell it wrong, though.
They just assumed it was part of the game plan, and it went very well. And I noticed the same thing you did too. Janelle, you was like, okay. I could literally see the wheels moving. That
Well, I could sense like the rest of us like in the bleachers. I don't know for sure, but I could sense that we don't know what to do. Like that's maybe I was just projecting that on
That's
everybody.
true though,
was,
because think about what you had up there. I mean, I think you had you had 3 veterans up there.
Mhm.
I mean, KK couldn't see what was happening because she was behind the 2 of you. So
also, KK, her character was very calm and collected.
yeah, she couldn't. It wouldn't have been her that would have done it.
Wouldn't. It would have been me or Zach, and I wasn't going to wait for Zach.
I could see Zach thinking at the same time, but I could see Janelle had a plan. You know, you could kind of see that. And they both kind of looked at each other, and then Janelle said something, and I was like, okay, here we go. They got us out of it because it couldn't be us on this side of the stage that got you guys out of it. It had to be you.
Yeah.
And Josh all the while is sweating, bullets going through his, like, not knowing what's going to happen. Oh my gosh.
Hearing
so
him
funny.
go, Rachel.
And Rachel with her hand, stop.
And Rachel was like, I just told her shut up.
And it was so Mitch. It was
Totally
so
Mitch.
Mitch. It was perfect.
All you hear is
He just skipped 70 pages.
Because he had to do the goodbye too
Yeah.
when we didn't
gosh.
expect to do it.
it was the third goodbye too. It was
Oh
Life
my
is
God.
pandemonium.
It was pandemonium.
Oh.
But it was great.
Capital MEXICO, right? That was how you spell Mexican?
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Oh man, that night was full of you
It
guys.
was full of
You
everything.
killed it though. You did.
It was full of that. If we did all the improv that
I did.
night.
And it was like, after this, how it can't get crazier
No.
than that.
No.
So like smooth sailing.
Yeah, we were all like, oh, we got this. We never still thought of how
we
many.
can do anything.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Exactly.
And then we went to the Saturday where I broke my knee and everybody sweated to death. So it was just different all around.
Yeah.
It's
But
fun.
we've covered
Live
that.
we
theater.
have.
We
You'll
have
get to
beat
hear
that with
that.
we beat that with the horse.
that has to have been Zach's episode
And partially the one that I was
Yeah.
a part of too.
with the heat. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was,
So I would like to, that was good. Spelling Bee was really, really good. You did great. You two did great.
are we moving on from Stellar Beat?
Everything was great.
I have one thing that I would like to.
I was literally just about to move on. So before I move on, Aaron has something to say.
Like if this is stealing your thunder, just
I
let
have
me know.
no thunder to
Okay.
steal.
I just have like one question about Spelling Bee. You played Rona, and Rona's catchphrase was, "This is her favorite moment of the bee."
It really was how exciting.
But it seemed like
Wonderful.
so exciting.
It seemed like every other like scene that you're in, you're saying that was my favorite moment, and I'm wondering what your favorite moment of Spelling Bee was.
Oh, well, I mean, for nostalgia's sake, my favorite moment was the I Love You song. I mean, that was because that was from the very beginning. The intention was for the 3 of us to sing it. Not for me to be on stage the whole time, but for me to walk out and be able to do that piece. However, I think my favorite moment of as Rona and as Kristen, the director, I loved the opening. I loved how we met everybody, and you could see the audience as they met people, and how they were like, oh my gosh, like they were already picking their winners or who their favorites were.
Yeah.
And that was fun to be able to watch that piece. So I think that's my favorite part of the show was the opening, because I think that's the favorite part of any show for me is when you meet the characters. And it's like the lights come up and you get those chills, those goosebumps, and you're like, oh, here we go, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite part.
Yeah.
And Spelling Bee really punches right in too. I mean, it's you just go.
You just go. You just go. And we tried as much as we could to have the audience not know when the show was actually going to start. Well, that was my intention of being out, talking to people, going up on stage, talking to people, those types of things. So That way, when they walked in and they came upstairs, the show had already started. They were coming to see a spelling bee.
Yeah.
And Panch hadn't taken his medication, so he was pretty ornery.
He's pronounced that differently, but
Panch?
yeah.
Panche?
Yeah, not Scott. Panch.
Oh, yeah, that's Panch.
Anyway.
Sorry, that was my. Now we can move on.
No, I'm happy. That was a good question.
We're spelling bee.
And
Out
you're
the window.
Out.
Bye-bye.
Circle mirror transformation.
It was a great show. your thoughts on Circle Mirror? Wonderful.
And
Great
let's
stuff.
That
go.
was your favorite moment.
I did love that show.
Oh.
It was a good season. But Aaron, would you throw that one too?
No.
Season's done.
No. You got to throw it. Season's over.
Season's done.
We're not talking about that season
New
anymore.
season.
New season.
And the future, right? So you serve as the vice president on the board for Oxford Hills Music Performing Arts Association that we have come to love and call OHMPAA. Correct?
I do.
Why do you do that?
How dare you?
Why do I do that?
Why do you do it?
Why am I on the board, or why am I the vice president, or all of the above?
All of the
What are
above.
you trying to get out of it? What are you trying to do? What is the purpose for you being?
It goes back to, I'll go back to my previous conversation I had with you guys. It's legacy. It's making sure that what we do and what we love stays here in the Oxford Hills, and that we continue to bring quality theater to these people in this area. And they know, how many times have you gotten off that stage or been involved in a show and people say, I had no idea we had such talent in this area. I want to say, how do you people not know we have all this talent in this area, But really, they're people that are they're just so enamored with what we do. And the fact that we can do it on that stage is just amazing. And how we have transformed that stage into so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think, that's, I want to be part of that. I left the board years ago for some personal reasons. I was not as invested in the group as I should have been. And I knew that. And I knew I needed to separate myself from it, for the better of myself. In my wanting to be in shows and those types of things, I didn't want to have any sour tastes in my mouth or any of that. I just wasn't there. So I knew it was best for me to step away and to gather, what I wanted to bring back to the board whenever I was asked to come back. And so that's what I'm doing now.
That's really big of you. It's very easy just to say that, like, not that there's any prestige in being on the OHMPAA board, but there's it's very easy to stay too. If you're on any board, you're just like, if you're not really into it, like, it's okay to, like, to back out,
Yeah.
Or if anything really, it doesn't even have to be like boards, but it's a lot to, like,
you want to bring value to what you're doing, and you want to feel valued as well as bring value.
Yeah.
And you want to support what you believe in. And I think at that time I had too many irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Too many things going on. I wanted to be on stage. I didn't necessarily want to be behind the scenes. There was just a lot of stuff going on. And so when Jeff asked me if I would ever consider coming back, I was like, you know what? It's time.
Yeah.
I have all these things in my head. I know what wonderful looks like. I know what great theater looks like. I know what I love. I know the people I love. I know, all of those things. And I want to do that. And I want to be part of it. And I want to continue to make sure that happens throughout the Oxford Hills, whether I'm here or not.
Well, that's great, because that leads me into our next segment.
Segue.
Oh, great.
You are on the board after you just said the reasons, right? But ultimately, I kind of get the idea of, like, the future, right? Like, you're not doing this to not have there be some payoff. There needs to be some payoff in the future, right? There were the legacy word that you brought up, like that is the next generation and who comes after us. And so our research team, we have one. They scoured the internet.
Scoured.
They looked up multiple different articles and they came up with the 10. Is there 10? 1, 2, 3. There's like 11. The 11 ways to either like create a new theater group, like tips, or like to make a strong, wonderful theater group, getting the best bang for your buck.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go through these
Get
little
your
topics
ride or
I found,
die
right?
people with you mean?
And let's just have let's just have a conversation about those topics, because I feel that ultimately that is why we're here. We want to see the community theater blossom. And so, not necessarily in any order, but
Secure an LLC.
Well,
A 501c3, I mean.
one would be to create strong partnerships. And that could be multiple, that could be just relationships or sponsorships. But what are some ways do you think, or that you feel that we do it well and how we can improve on it? Creating strong partnerships.
Well, I do think that we have a strong partnership or with the Opera House. I mean, I think the relationship we have with the Opera House has given us a lot of opportunity that we would not have necessarily had we not partnered with them.
Yeah.
I think that we have strong relationships with sponsors, past sponsors, or people who continue to sponsor. I think what we don't necessarily, and it's not that we don't do it well, it's that we're a board of 13 people? Is it 13
15.
now? 15 people?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the bandwidth is not there to be able to do some of the things that our brains want us to do. We have all these great ideas, but yet not necessarily the bandwidth to be able to do it. We have some people that, they are able to do it because they don't, they're not working during the day. So they can do some of these things. And then there are some of us that can't because we do work during the day. And so I don't think we've really discovered a good flow for that. I will tell you and you guys will know this, Janelle may not, but in 2023, 2022, Jenny and I sat down and we did some brainstorming together and tried to, really figure out what are our focus? What do we want to focus on in 2023? Because I think that us pitching 3 shows plus, I'm not sure what we're calling the October piece, but
right now it just says extras.
A masterpiece.
A masterpiece.
3 shows and 1 masterpiece.
But
we'll see who gets that. Yeah.
that provoked a lot of conversation, and it provoked a lot of people thinking, how are we going to do this? What partnerships are we going to have to be able to pull those things in? And so, I think the answer is we do have some strong partnerships, and then we have some that really need to be worked on. And that really is not because of anybody not wanting to, they just don't necessarily have that, either the knowledge or the bandwidth to do it. And, that's a challenge if you don't have somebody passing down their knowledge and allowing for the group to grow, whether it's growing pains, because yes, maybe I did it this way 10 years ago, but there's probably a newer and better way to do it now.
Yeah.
And if there isn't, we still need to at least try.
Any thoughts from you guys at all?
I think that was said very well.
I would agree. The next topic would be, don't just focus on the theater. And what I mean by that is that, yes, we are a theater group. We have the community theater, but there's a lot more built into just putting on a show, right? There could be cultivating a generation. There could be cultivating different skills and different roles. And I guess my question out of that to you would be, it would be a big question there. maybe the same thing as the first time. What are we doing right? And what could we do better?
I think, and again, that we've had this conversation. I think we actually had this conversation as a group at our cast party. And then I rolled it over into a bigger conversation with Jenny, that, you know, and I even talked to, you know, to some of the other members about it that have been with the group for a very long time, and saying, you know, in having conversations with the group from Spelling Bee, I have come to the realization that we do not explain things well. Those of us that have been on the board for a long time, because again, it's kind of like you, Aaron,
There's
coming to the theater new, right? And I'm asking you to do this as a director, and you not knowing the why or even understanding what it is I'm asking you to do. How is that going to? How are you going to develop as a character, right? And so how is a board member going to develop if they don't really know the whys behind why we do something? We are very quick sometimes as a group, the tenured people in the group, to say, because, oh, we've already tried that, or that's not going to work. And instead of saying because blah, 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 it's shut down. Let's move on. And this won't come to anybody's surprise, you know, to Jenny's surprise, because that's really a conversation I had with her. It's like, yeah, you know, I just feel like there's this vibe out there that we are exclusive, and that we don't really, that we don't share our knowledge, and we don't want to be like that. We don't want to be known like that. We don't want to be upper echelon theater group. That's not what we want. And so I think you'll see some of that changing in 2023.
That's awesome.
That's good.
That's exciting.
There's something that I like, because I've been in a couple, like, I don't know, like planning groups and stuff like that. And, you know, you throw out a suggestion and they're like, oh, we tried that, it didn't work. And like, or like, oh, we don't do that.
Right.
Or like, nothing makes me more frustrated hearing that. And I'm like, well, why? Or like, well, did you try it like this, or did you just try it once? Or it's just like, there's so many like.
Well, and you think about it, even technology has changed so much since we've become, you know, we were doing Spelling Bee, and I'm, you know, in my head, I'm like, what are we going to do with sound? In my head, it's sound, right? Yeah. It's not sound like what we're doing right now here in this room, which is what we actually had. You looked at things, you figured out what was going to be the best. You put some boom mics down, you did whatever those mics were, you know, like the things that we think we cannot do. When we say we cannot do them, we have now capped what we can do. Yeah. And we haven't even looked into the possibility to be able to say, oh my gosh, we can do that. Yeah. And I think that's where sometimes we cut our noses off to spite our face, because we either it feels as though it's too much work, but we're actively working on getting people on the board to be able to do these things for us, or to bring a different perspective, or a different, you know, talent to the board. We don't want actors. Not that we don't want actors.
We hate actors.
We hate actors. We've got plenty of actors and actresses and singers, you know, in the community, but we have these people that can really bring there's this niche that we don't necessarily have filled. And that's what the nominating committee is really tasked with, and trying to figure out what those people are, who those people are. And I think we all have to be really open and honest as board members, you know, about these people. Not, oh, I really had fun with Janelle, so I think she needs to be on the board. You know what I mean?
It's not a social club.
It's not a social club. It's it's working. You know that. All of us here in this room know how much, you know, it takes to do something. And, you know, I think that is important for us to remember. I'm putting my watch on theater mode right now, by the way.
I was curious, like, how much of that was like autopilot, where you were just like talking and like doing something else?
That's kind of autopilot too.
I couldn't do it. I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that's my feel. That's what I got for that answer. I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but
It was a great answer.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. Good answer. No whammies. No whammies.
Do we need to take any type of break?
I would like to take a break.
Yeah.
San Pellegrino. One of the best drinks that I think I've ever had in my life.
The bubbles.
Talking about the bubbles.
San Benedetta. When you buy a can and you pop the top.
Welcome freshness into your mouth.
Get it in multiple flavors, such as Aranica Rosa.
And others. Kind of like that.
When did we mention when you pop the top, there's a in 16 ounce, 12 ounce, sometimes bigger.
11.15 fluid ounces.
You can always get the perfect amount of San Pellegrino.
When I think of San Pellegrino, I think of being outdoors on a big table filled with Italian people eating spaghetti.
When I think of San Pellegrino, I think of my grandmother and her amazing spaghetti and meatballs.
San Pellegrino, when you want to feel a little more Italian.
Made in Italy.
And that was Aaron, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's known for hitting those high notes.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he was the master tenor in Spelling Bee.
He was. You were the lead tenor.
Which is shocking.
The only tenor, but you were the lead tenor.
Not a tenor at all, but the lead tenor.
I'll tell you what, though, you were hitting the notes and you could hear them and they were great. So harmonies were filled. So
I was close to them, at least. I don't know.
Wow.
Man, it's great to be back.
That's such a fire theme song, too.
Man, I can't wait to hear it again.
We could play it again real quick for you if you want. Hit the track, Aaron.
You know what would be really fun, actually, now we're talking about this? To maybe like record 3 or 4 and then to throw them on our Facebook and get a poll and let anyone that's our fan decide.
One fan, that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Let Kristen decide what our theme song is.
That's a low estimation of the podcast, Kristen. Jeez.
You said let our fan, and I was like, that's me.
So are you talking, we record a cappella versions of ourselves doing it and we're voting?
Something rough, right?
Or you could do like, was it Weeds, where they had the Little Boxes song done. It's the same song, but it was done in different genres every time. That's pretty cool.
I could pull out the penny whistle real quick.
Wow.
I'm loving it.
Yeah. So, Kristen, it's great to have you join us tonight. I'm super thankful that you were willing to. So, yeah, wait a minute. Janelle,
Guys, it's being recorded now. It doesn't
We
work
can't do
anymore.
that anymore.
No, but Janelle, I think the flap
do it
on the
under the
mailbox
thing.
is up.
Oh,
It's over there, Janelle. You can't see the flap behind the camera.
hang on. Whoa! I just pulled this out from behind the camera from the mailbox.
There was a mailbox
that you
with the
can't
flag up.
see. Here it is. We have fan mail that says the Backstairs Podcast, care of Kristen Searles Brackett. How did they know that you were going to be here?
It's like Santa Claus.
That's amazing.
Yeah, let's open that up.
Wow. Let's see what it says. This is a letter from Sally Jones.
Oh, wow.
Friend
Sally
of the
Jones.
podcast.
Letter from
Friend
Sally.
of the podcast.
It says, Kristen, you have had such a successful performing career on stage, and now you are out front directing. How is that going for you? Are you missing performing? As a fan, I sure hope you never stop singing.
Aw,
Sally.
Thank you, Sally. Hopefully
Yeah.
you send more letters in from you. Kristen, what do you think?
I will never stop singing. She won't have to worry about that.
She wanted to know if you were missing performing.
I did not think that I missed performing until I did spelling bee. And then I was like, yeah, I kind of miss it. So for me, the right show comes along, then I'll be back on stage.
Game on.
Game on.
I think there's a
Until
musical
then.
coming up this year. I don't know.
Is there?
Clue the musical?
Clue? Just gonna say
Misery.
Misery the musical?
Misery the musical. Wow, that would be great.
Oh my gosh.
So we're back to asking you more questions about, not reflecting, looking to the future and what we do well as a theater group and what we could improve on. And more questions from our research team. The next one, we kind of already covered, but we've covered in the past, last time you were on, but find space on the cheap. So right now, we have a partnership with the Grange. So in a lot of ways that benefits us, but there are also ways that kind of keeps us in a certain box sometimes. And what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know that I agree 100% with that. I think we having a home is wonderful for a theater group. And it allows for us to do the outreach that we will do, being able to be part of the parade, being able to do some of our workshops that we've talked about doing, excuse me, and being able to do whatever that thing is we're doing in October with you.
The masterpiece?
The masterpiece. That's what we're going to call it.
That's right.
And some of our Valentine's stuff that we did at the, in South Paris, I think by having a home, it allows for us to do those pieces. And if we did not have that relationship with the Grange and we didn't have such a really sweet deal with them, and they're just very hospitable to us. If we didn't have that, we would be constantly looking for our next place. So we aren't, we don't have to do that because we know we've got the space. If we didn't have the space, we would be having to find the show. We'd have to find a director. We'd have to find producers, and then we'd have to find a place that could house all that. And then when you have to put your, when you put in for the rights, those types of things, you have to figure out how many seats are you going to have? What's the price going to be? So I think by having that relationship, that tees us up for success for those shows and allows us to do all the other things. Which we haven't done a lot of. Right. We have not done a lot of recently, because of when COVID hit, we kind of stopped doing those things and we put ourselves in the box of 2 things a year, not really doing much of anything else. And I think now, again, looking to the future, I see as we start revitalizing our groups and our teams and our relationships, we will see more of that happening. I think we'll be bringing more people that have that expertise in, not necessarily onto the board, but onto those committees, and to be able to pull in so that there are committee members that keep us within our bylaws. But at the same time, we have people that have that talent that they bring to us to be able to say, no, you can do that. No, you can so do that. I've got this, and this, let's work on this. Let's talk about it. And then that person that is on the board is the person that's making sure we're staying within what our boundaries are supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I should clarify a little bit what I meant. What was that there are certain things that we just can't do.
Oh, yes.
And I personally, if I was asked that question,
there's no fly zone, those types of things.
This is a no fly.
We're like the White House.
If I were asked that question, I think it kind of forces us to be a little more creative.
Oh, absolutely.
But still, there are challenges to being a little bit restricted on space and our backstage and just the stage itself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was more saying we are very fortunate, but there are challenges for sure.
Definitely. So. And then there are shows that we can't do there. we know, I would love to be in, whorehouse, but I can't be in that at the Grange. We can't do a
Just to clarify,
not
best
in
little
a
whorehouse,
right?
The musical,
the best little whorehouse in Texas. I tend to call plays by their
just in this one situation. I feel like
You're
is
correct. But for the people listening, like my mother-in-law, who have no context at all,
she's gonna be like, "What? Never have her on your." So, and there are a lot of things that you can't do. We couldn't do Peter Pan. We couldn't do. I guess we could do Miss Saigon, but that would be
that's for different reasons that we shouldn't do that one.
When you think about staging and what that looks like, yes, you have to be really careful what you can pitch and what you can have on that stage. And we know what we can and cannot do. However, we did have a giant rabbit on the stage and we did swing from the rafters on a rope. So there are some ways that we can get creative, like you said.
I would argue that 5-10 years ago, people would have said you couldn't do Spam-A-Lot on that stage. And I would argue, I had the argument, we can't do Jazzy Chaperone on that stage when I tried for years to get them to do that show and they were like, you can't, it's too big. So, yes, there are limitations, but
you just have to be creative. John said, there's going to be another level of creativity that has to come out. If you really want to do something, if you can think about it and get it done. I said to Aaron, I don't know, in both shows, he had some suggestions like, well, if you can do it, let's do it. So,
we had a spinning set of
bleachers, right? People would not have ever known. Nobody looking at that set would have known that those bleachers were going to spin.
Yeah.
Or that rope was going to come down and that Camden was going to go across the stage. So those are the things I like to do, especially on that little stage. Those are the moments when people are like, oh my God, you just did that, and that's the exciting part of, you sit there and you're like, oh my gosh, how are people going to react? Because I know what's coming, that type of thing.
And there's something I think that's helpful when you're creating inside a box. All of a sudden, it's so hard to create when there's limitless options. Then you're like, well, what color do I choose out of the whole entire spectrum?
It's even simpler than that, though. You're choreographing a show, and if you don't have any kind of box to fit it in, how many people can fit in the row? What can we do? It goes both ways. I feel like
I just think it's difficult, but I think at the same time it's helpful. There's parameters. There's these two things. The left and right. Your box is this, and it's helpful. And it also kind of sucks sometimes when you want to try to do, Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, but you think about it, we had, I was going to say Ernie's Arc, but that's not the name of the show, but we had Papermaker. We had an arc on the stage, or we had, the smell. Dan actually used a saw so we could smell cutting of wood. So again, like you said, it causes us to be creative and to have all of our senses, you want to be, you put yourself in the audience member's shoes and you want to have them remember something. We were pointing out the similarities of Spam-A-Lot and Spelling Bee, because I very rarely, I've only directed 2 shows, but people are entering from every entrance and exit. There are people down or dancing down into the audience. The pits on stage, all kinds of different things. But that's how I love theater that really pulls me in as an audience member, and I'm not just sitting there fanning myself with the program. With the program. Yeah. I want to what's happening next. Yeah. What am I going to look at? Where am I going to be? That's me. That's the way I like it. And so that's the kind of theater I like to put on.
And also another great thing about the Grange is it's really intimate.
Yeah.
It's like
There isn't a bad seat.
No,
there
really.
isn't. You're what are you like? The furthest you can be away from the stage is what, maybe
30
50
feet?
feet, somewhere
Yeah.
in there. It's like it's really close, and
Mhm.
like you can, and you don't have to like turn your head very much to see the whole. It's like
Mm-hmm.
everything's right there.
Yeah.
You,
And for the most part, they've been pretty open to the things that we want to do.
yeah,
But I will say, in the very beginning, there was a different group of people there. Now the people that are in part of the Grange, they've come to, I think, not that they didn't appreciate us before. I think there's just more of that understanding and more of that collaboration. They were a group that was a little bit, and it's not that they were closed off to the community, but they weren't doing as much of the community outreach as what they're doing now.
yeah.
So having that building, at one point just had nobody in it, really. They were having their meetings, but that was it. And now you see a lot of stuff happening there.
Mhm.
And that's exciting, I think, not just for us as OHMPAA, but for the community. Some things have stayed, some things have not. But I think that's, it's a good thing. I think they have helped us as much as we've helped them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip through a couple because I don't like them. But our research team failed us.
Failed.
We need to fire them.
The interns are fired.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would like to take a second and talk about these two right here
Yes.
because they brought something to Spelling Bee that we desperately needed, and they were able to get it right.
Youth and beauty.
No,
Beauty, youth.
and so my next topic would be like branding, and part of that I feel this season in particular was the marketing and the social media presence behind Spelling Bee.
That's important.
And I know you and
Huge.
Janelle had a lot of conversations between the two of you and just kind of come up with like the vision for that. And personally, I'm just super thankful that the two of you were able to do what you did for one, but it can't always fall on Aaron and Janelle.
Correct.
Right. So in the future, we've had a little bit of conversation on the side about maybe like a social media person, but how do we do that better? How do we improve on our brand? And I would encourage you guys to have, because I feel like right now you guys are a huge part of that. So
I think yes, that was huge. And I think it's one of those things that I will always expect from my show. So you two should always be teed up. Okay.
you hired.
You'll always be part of that production team. It's important that we stay consistent. It's important that we push just as hard every show, not just, not just my shows or, those that we're invested in personally. And that was a conversation. I know you and I have had that, John. And that was one of the things that we talked about at the board meeting as well, is figuring out what does that look like going forward? Does every show have their own publicity person, or do we have a publicity person for the whole season so that it's consistent and they're getting the same caliber of
Quality,
the quality
Reach,
of the outreach and all of that? Because if you don't, and you have somebody who's like, oh, I'd like to try that, their sense of, doing could be a boomerang of somebody doing something rather than, really taking some quality pictures or really promoting it in what it says, all of those different things. So I think it's important that if we as a group decide to either hire somebody or we have a group of people that we use, that those people are consistent in what they're doing and that we promote that show. We try not to do anything in addition to it that kind of breaks that chain, because it's kind of like here at the podcast, every Monday, I'm waiting to see that. Right. Mm-hmm. So if I then all of a sudden see something completely off the cuff and I'm like, wait, what? No, I was waiting to see this, that breaks that momentum that you have going.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and we know that we all experienced that in spelling bee. And so it's not a surprise to any of us that we had a moment and we picked everything up and then we moved on, but we learned from that. And so we want to make sure that we put those things in place so that when it's off season, you know, there's not a show necessarily ready to be plugged, that's when those other things happen. So that we don't want to go dark completely in between shows, because then you lose your momentum and you lose your audience. You want to always see what's happening. And so that's what my goal is, to be able to keep moving and moving forward. And whether it's the same people or not, we need to be able to train, just like the producers, we need to be able to train people to do that piece of it, because there's a lot of creative people, but there are creative people that would love to either, you know, be mentored, you know, or, you know, if you work as a team or whatever that looks like, but just figuring out, you know, we know what good looks like. Let's keep that going.
Yeah. Agreed.
That answer your question?
It does.
Yeah. I think branding is super important. And as someone who has worked on branding for like multiple different companies and businesses and stuff, like it's more than just taking a high quality photo or creating a high quality graphic. It's like crafting captions. There's like a level of professionalism that has to go into it. And you have to know, like, what is the message of the business that I'm promoting? What is like the level of professionalism, and like how, you know, how casual can I be in what I say and what I'm putting forward? Like, you know, for my own personal social media, I'm a bit more like, casual. Whereas for the library where I work, it's like, you know, it has to be a bit more, not posh, but like you have to be
refined.
You have to be a bit more refined in what you're putting forward in the caption. And so I think I would suggest having one person who does it, whether it's just like season by season, and, you know, maybe you change out who that is per season. But I think if you want to have a unified vision, if you want everything to be the same and regimented across the board, it's just easier to have one person.
It is. Yeah.
Do that.
Well, it's easier on that person, I would think, you know, it's kind of like the year that I did the online ticketing. It was easier for me to do it for the whole season, rather than just do, you know, one show and then try and explain it for the next person. And then that way you knew, for consistency's sake, it was the same. And, you know, so I think that, again, I think those are some of the things that we are working towards, and to have suggestions like that is huge, because we don't always ask for those suggestions, because we think we know what we know, obviously, and we don't really always go past that, and ask for more.
Yeah.
And then I think the final thing that I wanted to talk about, we've brought it up a couple times with other people, but we have bills. We have things we need to pay for. We had a conversation with Rachel last week about musicians, the pit. Well, if you want quality in your pit, unfortunately, you have to pay people, which is, we'd love to pay them millions, but we don't have that, right?
Right.
At the same time, that's revenue coming in. That's sponsorships. That's advertisements. That's ticket sales. And, that's a lot. That's a lot. By the time you add up what, you know, the expenses are and what you're bringing in, it's hard to balance that sometimes.
It is. Yeah.
And a topic that, I mean, it's a reoccurring thing that we should, with OHMPAA, consider raising those ticket prices. So that's a conversation in itself, but I feel like there are sometimes things that we have to do on our end, right, to earn that ticket price. So I guess my question would be, like, do you think right now, the caliber that we're at, we should, you know what I'm saying? Like the caliber that we give out, does that equal raising prices? Do you feel that to raise prices, we have to raise what is that balance? What do you see there?
I'm probably the minority. I don't necessarily think we need to raise prices. I think we need our ticket prices. I think that we haven't necessarily gone where we need to go with sponsorships. And I think there's a route with that we have, a group that's looking at that piece of it. Just because we've got, even if we had professionals on the stage, I still would say if we can afford to have those ticket prices, then that's where I would stay. There's not, those next couple of dollars, is that really going to get us more money for the musicians? Not necessarily. It's really the relationships that we build on the backside with the sponsorships and the donations and those types of things that come in that help us support those pieces. What we're giving back to the community is a lower ticket price. They're going to see fantastic people that they love on stage. And at the same time, I know this sounds silly, but we don't want to make a lot to as a group because we're a 50C13, right? Or 50, whatever that is, C3PO, whatever.
You nailed it. All of it.
That's it.
But exactly. At the same time, so
we kind of want that number to be zero.
We just want to just balance. We don't want to go in the hole, but we want to just, do it that way. So I think that our outreach needs to be with our partners and then, just having the community be able to, if it were up to me, nobody would pay a ticket price. I would just want them to be able to walk in and see a quality show and to just love what we do and bring their kids. So their kids are like, oh, I want to be on stage, and just, and be able to get that, I think so many people don't take their children places because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And how are they going to act, or are they really going to like it? Those types of things. If I buy a $10 ticket, it's $10, and I don't really care if my child likes it or not, because it was $10 that we spent. And so that's the way that I look at it. So I'm one of those people that I rally against raising the ticket prices just for that reason. Especially being, a mom with 2 kids at one point, wanting to make sure that they could get everything that they could for culture. And right now, everything is just so expensive. I'm not behind bringing those ticket prices up.
That's a really interesting way to look at that. I don't think I've ever heard anyone really bring that up before. No. So that's cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if
No, I think it's great. I think you're right. You're the minority. I think it goes against a lot of what other people are thinking. But at the same time, you bring up a point that I don't feel that has been brought up enough. That, why are we doing this? You're correct. Nonprofit. So we don't want that number to go high. And the other time, we do it for the love of theater to bring it to the area. So I think I really appreciate you being brave enough to say it when you're in a room full of people that probably think otherwise.
Well, so. I also think you still want to accomplish the same thing. You want to be able to bring in enough to pay people for what they need to,
right.
to be able to pay the pit musicians and to be able to put on high quality shows and to rent the costumes. You're just talking about bringing it in through another means, another way, raising the ticket prices. Right. So we're all united in the same desire. It's just
how we get there,
how you get there.
Yeah. And I think the other piece is that people don't always understand if they're not on the board, about raising ticket prices. You raise your ticket prices, you have to pay more to do a show.
Right.
So we keep our prices where they are, and we don't have to pay as much to them to have a seat, butts in the seats.
Yeah,
so,
sure. A couple dollars more. Yeah. You're bringing in $1,500 to $2,000 over the course of a run for sure. But your rights are going up $1,000.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, you're correct.
Yeah. And so. it could, it can make or break you. It could make it so that, I can't do that second weekend, because if it's not going to be as successful of a show, you know, if you can't budget your house for 80% or higher because you're not certain, because your ticket prices are higher, what are you going to do with that? You know, but if you can but if you can partner with people on the back end and get those people who believe in you as a group and want to sponsor and want to be part of that, that's where that's going to make a difference. You know, we advocated for our musicians to get more money this time around, and that will stick. We brought it through the board, and that will stick. It was that's just, you know, one thing that we've moved through. I think we'll start looking at those different pieces more and more. And this time around, we brought a new musician in. Yep. And so I think that's in itself exciting, you know, that we can actually get new people on stage. This time around we had Zach, we didn't know. And then we had the Natalie come in. I know we know her, but still she'd never played for us. So I think it's that those pieces, when you have new people come in and be part and want to come back, that's exciting. I
was really impressed with the board too we just kind of threw it out there. Like, hey, we would like to not only change it for this show, but make it
let's just do
for the future. And there was there wasn't a conversation. It was, there could have been, and it was just like, yes, we need to do this. So that was a good moment.
It was a good moment, and it will be great moving forward.
Yeah. Still not what they're worth, but a step towards trying to at least, appreciate and, pay for their gas and their $2.90 beverages.
Their Applebee's beverages. Because $2.90 didn't stay open. Ryan.
That's a good point, though.
We would love you more if you stayed open.
Absolutely, Ryan.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah. If they stay open, though, they get everyone else's runoff. You got to think about that. If they're open past a certain time, all the other places in town, they're getting when they close, they're all going to $2.90. So
that's true. We just need, as like a collective.
Can we have like an underground?
A speakeasy.
A speakeasy.
We'll just
$2.90 has a basement. Make it into a speakeasy.
As a community, we'll just say that 9 o'clock closing times is too early.
Way too early for this community. Especially with the young groups that are around here. Like, really?
Yes, but there is another crowd in town that likes to stay past that point, and
they can stay at Applebee's.
You know who you are.
I digress. Sorry.
They're not listening.
Oh,
and if
so
you are,
much Applebee's.
Enjoy your half price apps. Half priced apps.
I'm trying to think
Santa gummies.
Trying to think of who we know goes to Applebee's, but
us.
It's just us.
All of the $2.90 employees after they close.
Kristen, any final thoughts from you at all? Anything you want to just get off your chest? I feel like I've tried to give you a chance to kind of get some topics lately. I tried to pinpoint some conversations that you and I have had, but anything that.
No, I don't think there's anything I want to get off my chest except for I just I'm excited about the direction that I feel OHMPAA is going in 2023. We've done really well with doing the production surveys afterwards, trying to take what those surveys brought to us, do some wrap up with the producers, have tough conversations with people about stuff, and really treating it more on the back end like a business, and at the same time enjoying what we do, but knowing that we have to do some management at the same time. And so that's happening more and more, and I think you'll see that we will all enjoy, some of the things that we're going to be doing in 2023 going forward. I wish I had brought, some of the groups that we broke it down into, but we've got.
Yeah, I have them right here. Yeah, hey,
we've got a musician and theater group. That's you, me, and Danielle. We've got some
Yeah, tech
lights, tech group. We've got
a house group,
outreach group, right? A house group. So, and we've broken that down through through all of us that are, the board members. And then we will be bringing people in from the community that once we've established those groups and, that really can step in and give us more of their input and help work through what those are. And I think that there's that. And you're going to see Mary Ellen's doing with Norm some of the chair. The chairs. Finally. The chair campaign's going to come out. I'm excited about Clue. I've been at some of those production meetings. We have a new director coming in, not new director, but a new to us director. People that I've talked to about, are you auditioning? Those types of things. You're seeing some of those veteran people come out because we are doing a winter show, which is not normal for us. So I think we'll see, I think we're getting our momentum back, and we're just going to have to keep pushing through that and supporting that, which is the reason why I took off this year from directing.
Yeah.
And it's not the only reason, but I felt like, oh my gosh, we're getting to be in a good place now. I want to help be that engine behind that and help with that piece of it. So
that's important.
It is important. It's important for us not to lose that momentum.
Huge.
It is. I mean, we really have to tee ourselves up for success in the future. And that's what we're doing right now. Now that we've come out of the COVID scare, and not doing anything. And then we only do the 2 shows. We're really 1 show. We ended up doing 1 show, and then we went back to 2 shows. And now we've got 3.5 shows.
A masterpiece.
And a masterpiece. But yeah, so it's exciting.
Yeah, no, it is very exciting. But thank you
You're
for
welcome.
being here tonight. Do we have a question? We don't have any questionable person among us tonight. What the heck?
Yeah. Well,
no, he's at the Ice Capades.
He's at the Ice Capades being questionable.
Yeah, questionable wherever he goes. So.
But I am drinking out of your glass, Scott, just so you know.
Cheers, buddy.
Oh, cheers. Oh, cheers, Scott. Aaron, do you have some? Here, you can cheers with my water if you want.
You've got your San Pellegrino.
San Pellegrino.
San Pellegrino.
Cheers, Scott.
Scott and the Ice Capades.
Being outside with your grandmother's spaghetti.
May your questions be questionable.
Always.
So did we have a special guest with us? Or
should we get you a wig so you can be...
is our good friend Janalex Trebek here with us tonight?
I was told that it was requested that our buddy Janalex Trebek make a return tonight.
All right, and here with us we have the one, the only Janalex Trebek.
Okay. All right. Our game tonight is hot takes.
Hot takes.
Hot takes. I want your spicy, juicy takes on some theatrical topics tonight. I'll throw a couple at you, and if you guys have any that you think of, you can throw them out too. And feel free to, anybody can play. And if you're listening, feel free to also comment your hot take, right?
Yes.
We want to hear it.
Yes, we do.
All right. First hot take that I want to get from y'all. Nicolas Cage says that he would like to do a musical as one of his next projects. And he says that he is eyeing Jesus Christ Superstar to be that project. What do you guys think?
Oh.
Wow.
Would he play Jesus?
I think he wants to star in a musical. Anybody have a hot take on that? Nick Cage musical.
I think he could do it.
Yeah? Can he sing? Do we think that he can sing?
I'm trying to think of movies where he sang in.
I do know that
ever seen
at one point Nick Cage was supposed to be the next Superman, and he had that ripped out from underneath him, and the world was happy because it happened. So I'm just going to go off of that and say that I would be very happy if someone stepped up to the plate to do it.
Okay.
Instead of him?
Instead of him.
Oh, okay. That is a hot take indeed.
I would just say I don't think of Jesus Christ when I see Nicolas Cage.
Willem Dafoe,
33, 98. I mean,
if Willem Dafoe can play Jesus, I think that
When did Willem Dafoe play Jesus?
he was in he was Jesus, and he was like one of his
Willem
first role.
Dafoe?
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw an interview.
So
where-
you're saying if Willem can do it, then
Willem Dafoe was Jesus in the movie The Last Temptation of
yes,
Christ,
the last temptation of Christ.
All right.
Yes.
1988.
wow. All right.
I think
I
so.
still don't think you can do it.
So I think if he can do it, Nick can do it.
Yeah. What do we think about his choice of musical?
I think I would like to see him on stage, but I
Okay.
just don't know about Jesus Christ Superstar. I'm
Right.
thinking more like,
I think he could probably do like a pretty decent Sweeney. I think he's
Sweeney
creepy.
Todd is hard.
I know it's hard, but I think he's creepy enough that he could pull off a.
There's nuance. What do we think about the Josh Groban revival of Sweeney Todd that is happening with Josh Groban as Sweeney Todd?
I'm all for it.
You're
Yeah,
for it?
I'm
I'm
for
all
it.
for it.
yeah.
I would love to hear. I hope that he does. I would love to hear him try something new with his voice, and hopefully he sticks true to that. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think he's going to kill it.
Yeah.
Although, let's segue into, did you see the Beauty and the Beast thing when he was in that?
The costume that they
costume.
made him wear was horrifying.
So weird.
It looked like he was wearing a carcass.
And he wasn't the Beast. He wasn't the Beast. He was Josh Groban.
Yeah.
I know.
It was Josh Groban. It was
Yeah.
like a Halloween
I
costume.
know. I was very disappointed
Yeah.
in that whole situation.
Did you mention with Nick Cage that he wants to play Pontius Pilate, not Jesus?
Oh, I didn't know that.
So I just read it.
All right.
Oh,
All right.
that changes it.
I
That
saw the
does.
article, but yeah, I just read that he wants to be
Okay.
Pontius Pilate, which I think he would kill that
Okay.
role. So I take
All right.
back
You redact
my Superman
it?
role. Yep. I still don't think you should be Superman.
Although that's a hard song that Pontius Pilate sings.
It is, but we don't know.
He might be like a great singer.
He
It could be like an Andrew Garfield in Tick Tick Boom kind of situation
Hey,
where he's actually like amazing.
I'm Nick Cage.
Have you watched it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh!
So good.
It is. Yeah.
So good. All right. All right.
Going back on the Sweeney Todd, I don't know. I think he's too pretty to play Sweeney. Josh
Like
Groban.
physically too pretty or voice too pretty?
All
All of the above.
I think you can make him look ugly, but I think his voice is too pretty for
Mhm.
Sweeney.
I struggle with Josh Groban just because, again, it's Josh Groban no matter what he does.
Children.
Yeah. I mean, even in Fiddler, I was like, "Ooh, no." You know,
Yeah.
it was just,
Yeah.
I love him,
Mm.
but it's hard because he can't change his character.
Nope.
Mm.
And that's hard. That's,
I wouldn't want to direct him.
mm-mm.
Yeah.
I think I'd be.
Although there was one thing he did at the Emmys that was really cool. He sang the intros to like 25 or 30 sitcoms or shows
Oh, did he?
back to back to back, and it was really good.
I like him a lot.
He wasn't Josh Groban then.
I just don't know about him being Sweeney just because that does need to be different.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That showed that he did have some like setting other than Josh Groban. So if you watch it over, like he really went outside of his box that he's in. So,
no
yeah.
one told you life was gonna be this way.
What's next?
All right. Does anybody have one? Has anybody thought of one that they want to throw out there, or should I keep?
I mean, I brought one out earlier that I think that needs to be said.
All right,
The-
what is it?
The 80s mega hits of Les Miserables and Phantom of the Opera.
We're putting them up against each other.
yeah, head to head,
Which one's better?
just in general.
Les Mis wins 100%. For me, there's not a question about it at all.
But you have an aversion to Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I do hate Andrew Lloyd Webber. I think he's the worst. Andrew, if you're listening, you suck.
Friend of the show.
no longer.
No, but like merit wise, I mean, Phantom has done amazing things for the theater world. Amazing things.
I would argue that Les Mis has done amazing things for the theater world also. Just because it's not playing on Broadway in the US right now does not mean that it is not one of the most popular musicals in the world still going today.
It's true.
Like West End is, it's
Yeah, but I
pretty
mean,
great.
Phantom.
It doesn't have. Phantom doesn't have. I don't know. There's just something about you hear that group of people singing
Mm-hmm.
in Les Mis, and I mean, I've seen them both on Broadway, and nothing gave me goosebumps as much as seeing Les Mis with those group of people.
Oh,
just
the Song of Angry Men.
yeah, I just always all of them. Just they all look the part. They all look miserable.
Mhm.
They all look
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just something about it that it gives me goosebumps
I know what
thinking
I'm
about
saying.
that.
And
I
I
know
don't
what
like
you're
Andrew
saying.
Lloyd Webber. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm firm in, I think Phantom is just overall the
Okay.
show.
But if you are comparing the movies, Les
Which
Mis,
one? Like Gerard Butler one?
Gerard Butler Phantom versus Hugh Jackman Les Mis. Go.
Is Les Mis all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, neither of them are great films.
No, they're not.
Okay,
But
here's
Russell Crowe's
what.
Javert is the worst Javert
I
of all
do
time.
love-
Are you kidding me? Javert that role is beautiful and perfect, and he destroyed it.
I love Sarah Brightman. So
Yes.
her part
Phenomenal.
is yes.
Yeah.
for
And it's hard to
Phantom.
match her voice.
It is very
Yeah.
hard to match her voice. So to hear anybody else do it is not.
Very rarely do you hear anyone in any type of recording of that show match what she was able to do in the movie.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Well, she didn't play her in the movie.
Not
That
the
was
movie.
Emmy Rossum.
I know what you're talking. Yes.
Okay, here's what I want to say about Les Mis versus Phantom. I think that Phantom has a level of showmanship and panache that Les Mis somewhat lacks.
Yeah.
I think that moment where the chandelier rises up off the stage is one of the most beautiful like theatrical moments that you can ever witness. Like your jaw is just on the floor. I don't think Les Mis really has a visual moment like that.
Yeah.
There are lots of vocal and musical moments that will give you that same kind of like reaction. But I think that Phantom there are a few of them in the show that like it's a visually stunning show.
Like Masquerade when they all come out.
Yeah, and the
there's
staircase just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or when they're like canoeing across like the reflective
so
water
wonderful.
on the stage. Like that's beautiful and that's cool. And Les Mis doesn't really have a moment like that. So
You're right. Exactly what that is. There's the music piece of it. And I think that's what Les Mis does for me is the music piece of it. Whereas if you were to see it and you see them both, Phantom is the one that you're going to go towards.
it's a spectacle. And I think that the reason maybe why it has done better on Broadway is because Phantom is a spectacle and
you're
people
experiencing the whole thing. Because you are in a theater with them, right? You're doing the whole experience.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right.
Point. Good
But
point,
still,
Janelle.
musically, Les Mis.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. I had another one and it's escaping me.
Well, this is Final Jeopardy, Janalex Trebek.
Okay, I have nothing. I got nothing. It's time for you.
Okay.
This is Final Jeopardy.
We got to talk about Moulin Rouge.
So you are historically not a fan of Moulin Rouge.
I think it is the worst musical of all time.
Like
All of it.
now
All
on
of it.
stage or like
The
even
movie, all of it. I hate it.
what is it you hate about it?
Everything. I hate the whole thing. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think? Moulin Rouge.
I think if I could just get Aaron to edit out all the parts with Ewan McGregor and that was it, I think I'd be good with it.
Okay.
Just so that I could watch all the Ewan McGregor
Yeah, I
spots.
just want the Ewan parts.
Okay. I thought you meant you didn't want the Ewan parts.
No.
I was pleasantly surprised by his voice.
I love
I mean,
his
it's
voice.
not
I
his
was just-
real voice.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's mechanical as heck. It's not his real voice.
That's his real voice.
Nobody's voice is that smooth. It's like he's not even breathing.
Ewan's is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Show me a live recording of him singing live.
He's smooth like glass.
I don't think that he's that good. He may be good, but I don't think he's that good.
He is.
Wow.
I don't think he's that good.
It's putting a lot on your reputation saying that he is.
Because if he's
I
that,
enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
I have not seen the stage show, so I can't say that I think I'll probably have a hard time seeing the stage show because I like the movie so much. But there was just something about the movie that the story, I hate the story, but there was something about the movie that I liked.
I just I compare it to Across the Universe.
Across the Universe.
They're both movie musicals and they both feel like an acid trip. But at the end of Across the Universe, you're like, that was nice. Whereas at the end of Moulin Rouge, you're like, what the freak just happened to me? Like, I feel ratchet as heck. I don't know.
A little violated for sure.
Like Baz Luhrmann's direction style, and it's just like, let's throw all the bright colors and all the loud noises at people like all the time. And I don't know. It's not for me.
It's not enjoyable.
No, but it gives me anxiety. But that's just my hot take.
Is it just the color red?
There is a lot of red in it.
I mean, rouge.
It's true.
Yeah, he's really not that good.
Listen,
You may just want to
It was just an off night.
We'll
Off night.
redact that.
I stand by what I said, and that was Ewan's real voice.
I mean, it's his real voice. It's just got like 1,000 layers of.
Oh, because you've
like,
never had a
auto-tuning
whole
on it.
studio put a bunch of autotune on your voice either.
My voice still sounds like a real voice after that, though.
Ewan's does too.
Okay.
In other news, Kristen, again, this was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
That is wonderful.
I feel like we ended on a really
you...
tense note.
Hey,
here.
did anybody see Spirited?
No. Was it good?
So good.
It was really good.
I loved it. Did you love it?
Yeah, I thought it was wonderful.
What is Spirited?
It's the new. It's Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds, and they sing. It's some great music in it.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yep,
We missed it this year somehow.
it's on Apple TV.
Oh, that's why. We don't have Apple
You don't
TV.
have Apple TV.
We watched Ted Lasso and then we got out of there.
It was really good. The musical. I mean, there were some great musical moments. A lot of tap dancing, like really cool stuff in it. Yeah,
Neato.
yeah. I wasn't even going to watch it until somebody said, "Oh my God, you have to watch it." And I was like, "Yeah."
Well, so I mean, now that we're talking about that the Grace Kelly clip that was big and viral with the two of them was like the start of them doing this and like that. So they were on set when they did that, and oh my gosh, what they were able to turn out was really really good.
It really was. Yeah,
Cool.
It was fun.
We'll
it was a
have to
lot of
check
fun
it
to
Did
watch.
you ever see Joyful Noise?
I don't think so.
No, either of you ever?
Oh wait, is that? Describe what that is. Is that the?
It's like the kind of a gospel feel with like Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, I did see that.
It has a huge. I mean, the list of performers in it is nuts, and they do covers of other songs. It was really really good.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been listening to lately. I didn't know if you had.
No, I have. I mean, I haven't recently listened to it.
It is worth listening to. The soundtrack to Joyful Noise. It was great.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice little plug there.
Oh, it is nice.
We just earned $10.
Did we?
Joyful Noise. Like your grandmother's spaghetti.
What? You're going to have to do a lot of editing, Aaron.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's not going to edit anything. It's all staying.
It's all in.
Oh, gosh. You guys are awesome, and I appreciate you having me back.
You're awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for being our number one fan.
Woohoo! Yeah. And I hope to
now
be
you
able to
can
talk
put a
about
face
all
to
the
the name.
success. Oh, yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, Janelle, where will people be able to listen to us and stuff like that?
Oh, there are lots of places where people can listen to us.
We have an outro. No,
We do.
we
Did
don't-
you know that I recorded a new outro for season 2?
No one told me this.
We have a new outro for season 2.
Well, I'm going to stop asking you where can we find ourselves and all that.
So you can listen to the outro
Well, dang.
to know where to find us. But in the meantime, shout out to Scott. We love you.
Yes.
We miss
Scott.
you. Scott will be back next week, so you don't have to look at my mug again for a little
Oh,
while.
boy.
Yeah.
I know about Scott being back, not that part.
Sure, John. All right. Well, on behalf of the Backstairs Podcast, this is the Backstairs Podcast.
I'm John.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Janelle.
I'm Kristen.
This has been the Backstairs Podcast.
Backstairs Podcast.
Backstairs Podcast. Peace out.
This has been the Backstairs Podcast. You can stream the audio or video format of this episode anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Backstairs Podcast. Send us an email at thebackstairspodcast@gmail.com. Redacted!